Light is the root of suffering. And with being as condition, there is birth, and then for whatever has come to be, there is aging and death. So here it said, delight is the root of suffering. And in the Brahmanimantanika Sutta, it said that the Buddha has extirpated being, and all being is dukkha, together with its root. And so the root could be seen either as tanha, craving, or delight, nandi. Okay, this is a bit heavy, I know, it's not sort of entertaining. Too heavy for you? Okay.
Yeah, is nandi the same nandi as in a nandi bowl?
As in what?
The nandi bowls. There are a lot of always sculptures of nandi bowls included in Hindu temples.
I think, yeah, well, nandi, it's just, the bull is maybe named Delight, the name of the bull.
I knew a woman in Nepal named Delight.
It's actually a common name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even for monks and nuns, yeah. Nanda. Actually, there's a monk, Nanda, and Ananda, because it can have a kind of neutral meaning. It doesn't always have that loaded meaning of being equivalent to craving. But, just like, okay, people name their daughters Joy. So it means, like, they want their daughter to be happy, so they name her Joy. Do we have a male name that corresponds to that? Joey? Yeah, so it's just like Ananda, it's just an intensification. And then there's the monk Nanda. Then the Buddha's half-sister was, I think, Sundaranandi. So it's a common name. So any questions on this passage, which is, as I said, it's pretty dense.
Is this nandi the same, this delight the same word that you translated both as delight and affirm? Or at least do they have the same root?
No, there's no etymological connection. But the word that was translated affirm is abhivadati, the verb abhivadati. It's based on speak. The root is vad, to speak. So vadati means to speak. Abhivadati gives it a stronger sense, like to affirm or to welcome. And so we have the connection between, well, the word that's used in the verse and in that earlier prose passage. It's the same verb, abhivadati. But nandi comes from, the verb would be abhinandati. But the noun form is nandi. Abhi is just the prefix. But we do get these two words, abhinandati and abhivadati, coming together in several suttas. For example, sutta number, I think it's 38. Okay, page 359. This is paragraph 30. About 5, 6 lines down, the text says, engaged as he is in favoring and opposing. Well, that is, we could say, affirming and rejecting, or accepting and rejecting. Whatever feeling he feels, whether it's pleasant, painful, or neutral, he delights in that feeling. That's abhivadati. He welcomes it. That's abhinandati. He delights in that feeling. He welcomes it. That's abhivadati. And he remains holding to it or clinging to it. That's ajosaya. Ajosaya, clinging or grasping it. So we get sometimes abhinandati and abhivadati in immediate proximity. Okay, let's go on, because I want to try to finish the sutta. I will finish the sutta. So now, it seems like Mara has been there, and he thinks that he's losing the battle, because now even Brahma and Brahma's assembly are, applauding the Buddha. So Mara wants to get his last shot to trap the Buddha. And so again he takes possession of the member of Brahma's assembly, and he says to the Buddha, he says, "Sir, if that is what you know, if that is what you have discovered, do not guide your disciples," here it must be the lay disciples, or those gone forth, your monastic disciples. Do not teach the Dharma to them. Have no yearning to acquire disciples, either lay disciples or monastic disciples. So now Mara is trying to persuade the Buddha, even though you are enlightened yourself, but don't teach the Dharma to others. Don't try to guide others to their enlightenment. Then again, Mara is going to try to use how do they call this? Using the whip and the carrot approach. So he says, before your time, and he calls the Buddha a little disrespectfully, Bhikkhu. Before your time, Bhikkhu, there were recluses and Brahmins in the world who claimed to be enlightened, and they guided disciples and monastic disciples, they taught them the Dhamma. And then on the dissolution of the body, when their life came to an end, they became established in an inferior body. This means that they were reborn in an inferior realm of existence. So he's in a sense threatening the Buddha. If you try to teach the Dhamma to others, you're going to be reborn in a miserable plane of existence too. And then he says, before your time, there were recluses and Brahmins in the world claiming to be fully enlightened, and they did not guide any disciples or monastic disciples. They did not teach the Dhamma and so on. And on the dissolution of the body, when their life came to an end, then they were established in a superior body. That is, they were reborn in some higher state of existence. And so now Mara is probably wagging the finger, shaking a finger in front of the Buddha. He's saying, "So Bhikkhu, I tell you this, be sure to dwell inactive, devoted to a pleasant, abiding here and now. It's better not to declare the Dhamma, and do not advise or instruct anyone else. So this is, in a sense, maybe he's trying to tempt the Buddha not to take on the career of a teacher, even though this must have taken place after the Buddha had already started teaching, I assume. Okay, when Mara says this, then the Buddha, he catches Mara's number and says, I know who you are, evil one. Don't think he does not know me. You are Mara, the evil one. And it is not out of compassion for the welfare of others that you're speaking thus, but it is without compassion that you speak thus. Then the reason why he specifies the reason why Mara doesn't want him to teach. He says, you are thinking those to whom the recluse Gautama, the Buddha, teaches the Dhamma will escape from my sphere. They'll escape from my grip. So he knows, the Buddha knows that Mara wants to keep everybody shackled to samsara. And then he says, those recluses and Brahmins of yours who claim to be fully enlightened were not fully enlightened, but I who claim to be fully enlightened am fully enlightened. And whether I teach the Dhamma to disciples or whether I don't teach the Dhamma to disciples, I am such. That means I am fully enlightened. And then what is the reason for that? Because the Tathagata, that's the Buddha himself, the one who has reached the truth, has abandoned the asavas, the defilements of the taints that defile, that bring renewal of existence, that cause trouble, ripen in suffering, and lead to birth, old age, and death. He has cut them off at the root, made them like a palm stump, done away with them, so that they are no longer subject to future arising. So this is just like a palm tree whose crown is cut off, it's incapable of further growth. So the Tathagata has abandoned the taints that defile, cut them off at the root, made them like a palm stump, done away with them, so they are no longer subject to future arising. Okay, and then at that point, Mara is unable to reply, and then that brings the sutta to an end. And then the compilers explain why they gave the title to the sutta, because it began with the invitation from a Brahma. Brahma invited the Buddha to come and stay in his Brahma world, and so it's called the Brahmanimantanika Sutta, the discourse on the invitation of a Brahma. Very powerful sutta, no? Starts off a little bit sort of with a humorous touch, but it really shows what you might call the majesty and spiritual attainment of the Buddha. Okay, any questions, comments?
And then, do the stranger, once returner and non-returner all have that unique consciousness or not?
That kind of samadhi?
That consciousness.
That vijnana? The way I understand it, based on the suttas, I think not. I think that's exclusive to the Arahant.
Then how do they experience Nibbana?
Yeah, that's a good point. What I would say is that, this is my conjecture. It's not stated so explicitly in the suttas. My conjecture is that those at the lower level have seen Nibbana, but they're not able to get such a full experience of it. But they see it, and by seeing it, they're able to see all Four Noble Truths, and with that they eradicate certain levels of the defilements. But I don't know that they have access to that samadhi. Now, according to the commentarial system, or the Abhidhamma system, corresponding to each of the levels of attainment, there is a particular kind of meditative state that one can enter, which is called phala samapatti, the attainment of the fruit. And so there's something called sotapatti, phala samapatti, the meditative attainment of the fruit of stream entry, sakadagami, phala samapatti, meditative attainment of the fruit of once returner, anagami, phala samapatti, meditative attainment of the fruit of non-returner, and arahat phala samapatti, meditative attainment of the fruit of arhatship. And it's said that any noble disciple of that particular level could enter their own particular fruition samadhi. And in that samadhi they experience nibbana. So this is the position that emerges in the Abhidhamma and commentaries. But in the suttas I haven't seen very explicitly any affirmation of that. The way I understand it, those at the lower levels they've had this experience where they can see the deathless or see Nibbana, but they're not able to enter a particular samadhi in which they can continue to experience it for an extended period of time. Have you come across anything like that? So there seems to be some, what I would call a tension here, between what we can extract or discern in the suttas and the position that comes out in the commentaries.
Does that particular consciousness have four other aggregates
I would say so, yeah.
at all times?
I would think so, yeah. Because in order for there to be, in fact, there has to be, perception, certainly. Because the way it's explained in those suttas from Bhikkhu Nikaya, it's said that he's not perceiving earth, water, fire, or air, and so on, and yet he's still perceiving. Sanyi hoti. So he still has sanya, which is perception. And presumably he'll have feeling and intentions. And so all the other aggregates have to be there.
There's just no attachment.
Of course there's no attachment in that.
There's just no,
Yeah.
they're just, I know this isn't in the suttas, but what people will call it the bare aggregates. In other words, they're not subject to clinging at that point for the arahant.
Yeah, yeah. But there would be, we say, the bare aggregates, even on occasion when the arhat's involved in ordinary activities. You know, if he's taking a walk, if he's taking a meal, giving a lecture, or listening to other people give lectures, then he's aware of sounds, aware of the touch sensations. But there's no attachment or no craving, no clinging. But I don't think that, in that state, we could say that there's this vijnana nidasana, this consciousness which manifests nothing. I think that comes only in this special meditative state, where he turns away from all of the conditioned phenomena and directs the mind to nibbana.
And he also speaks of this in the other suttas as a pleasant abiding in the here and now, that he can enter into these states for a pleasant abiding, or as arahants.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we'll end for the morning, and then after the lunch, then we can come back and discuss. Oh, I didn't even see you put this on. Okay. Oh, if Mara is such a bad character in the text, why is this evil one not dwelling in hell rather than the heavenly realm? And why are the powerful Brahmas and other bright deities unable to understand the Four Noble Truths taught by the Buddha and get enlightened? Okay, I think maybe the texts call Mara the evil one, not because he's really doing terribly unwholesome karma, like killing, stealing, and so on, but basically his task is to just prevent people from escaping samsara. So, and maybe it's just a designation, so we don't have to take it too literally. And why can't the powerful Brahmas realize the Four Noble Truths? Actually, they have the potential to realize them, but maybe they previously hadn't heard the Buddha teach. But it's said that even at the Buddha's first sermon, first discourse, there were many deities and Brahmas that were listening to the discourse, and large numbers of them did realize the Four Noble Truths and achieve different stages of enlightenment. Okay, then somebody says, regarding Abhinya, the suttas list 6 successive events towards Nibbana. That is, one gains vision, knowledge, peace, direct knowledge, enlightenment, Nibbana. So what is the difference between knowledge and direct knowledge? Actually here I would say they're pretty much almost synonymous. Maybe Abhinya has a slightly more elevated flavor. What is vision? Is peace the same as samadhi? Again, vision is the same thing as the knowledge or direct knowledge. It just emphasizes another aspect. And peace, I'd say, is not necessarily the same as samadhi, but you would say samadhi is peaceful. But this would be a kind of permanent peace that remains all the time, whether one is in samadhi or not. What is the etymology of the word vijnana? It seems it's a conjunction of prefix vi and jnana, which means something like no knowledge. Is that right? No, that's not right. Vi sometimes just gives a somewhat stronger sense. So maybe we could say that vijnana is specific knowledge, discriminating knowledge, discerning knowledge. But it's, in normal usage, it doesn't mean a higher state of knowledge, but it's a kind of awareness, specific awareness. So we use consciousness to render it. Is Mara incapable of ever getting enlightenment like the Ichantika spoken of in the Mahayana Buddhist scriptures? That is the most base and deluded of all types of beings. As I mentioned last week, and as we'll see next week, the position of Mara, it's like an office or a status, but the being that occupies that status changes every so many years. So now one being occupies a position of Mara, but in time he'll pass away and somebody else will be reborn there. And so, you know, maybe I used to be Mara many centuries ago. Wouldn't you just know it? And, you know, I hope to be enlightened someday. And so I think it's quite possible that, the big guy up there, Mara, when he passes away, he could be reborn as a human being and learn the Buddha's teaching and become enlightened. It's, I think, possible. Okay, I think we'll end now with the sharing of the merits and then come back after lunch, about 12:10. Oh, I have to mention two things. One is tomorrow afternoon, the abbot, Bhante Dhammadipa, will be giving a slideshow. A few months ago he was in India and he took photographs of some of the cave statues and pictures of the ancient Buddhist caves of India. And so he'll be giving a slideshow tomorrow of these pictures that he took. So this will be a kind of excellent opportunity to see some of the outstanding Buddhist art of India. This will be in the Wu Library at 1:30 p.m. I think it's 1:30. And then in 2 weeks, that's April 23rd, there'll be a 7-day meditation course, meditation retreat here, conducted by Venerable Dhammadipa's mother. She's called Mother Shi. Is that correct? She is a authorized meditation master. She has her own meditation center in East Malaysia. She came here last year and gave a 1-week meditation course. Last year it was actually a 5-day meditation course, but this year she'll be giving a 7-day meditation course from April 23rd to April 30th. So this would be a good opportunity if you can find the time to take a full week of meditation. Is it necessary to register in advance, or can they register on the 23rd itself?
Usually they will register in advance. Then we should arrange the accommodation and meals.
Oh yeah, they have to register in advance.
Yeah, but we have an online registration.
So there's online registration in English?
In English.
In English too, okay, so that's good. So you go to the BAUS, I think it's the BAUS website, and if you're interested then you can register. Okay, so let us end with the sharing of the merits. Akasata Chabumata Deva Naga Mahedika Punyantang Anumodipa Chiram Rakantu Sasana Akasata Chabumata Deva Naga Mahedika Punyantang Anumodipa Chiram Rakantu Desana Akasata Chabumata Deva Naga Mahedika Punyantam Anumodipa Chiram Rakantu Mamparam Etavatacha Mehi Sampadam Punya Sampadam Sabbe Devanumodantu Sabba Sampati Siddhya Etavatacha Mehi Sampadam Punya Sampadam Sabbe Bhutanumodantu Sabba Sampati Siddhya Etavatacha Mehi Sampadam Punya Sampadam Sabbe Satanumodantu Sabba Sampati Siddhya Pavagupadaya Vijayetato Etantare Satakayupapana Rupya Rupicha Sasanya Sanino Dukkha Pamuchantu Pusantu Nibuti